So close. So close.
A little.
Go open the big box. Go, baby.
Let's open it. And then we're going
kids that try to do that on the really go vision. Run to prime heights. On the top.
Hey, what's up? So this last week, training has taken a little more of a backseat than I intended it to. You can see in some of the footage of recent training sessions that it's just, I'm not there. All the energy's not there. It happens. It comes in and out. I thought I was, I had taken a true sort of deload week a couple of weeks back, and I thought that would really recharge me, but something just, I really hit it hard in the week after that, and I probably put the pedal down a little too hard on that. I was trying to add in, I was hitting PRs in the weightlifting movements, along with really pushing it for the Metcon stuff, for the conditioning stuff. So, just it kind of caught up with me, I'd imagine. So for me right now, a lot of the emphasis has been on getting ready for the CrossFit Open. The CrossFit Open for me is, like I've said before, is really just a test to see if after a year of doing this, how much have I improved? What's my trajectory? What does this mean? I don't think I'm going to the games. I don't think I'm going to regionals. I don't think any of that stuff. I just want to see where I am on the personal journey, so to speak. It's pretty touching, right? So for me, when I reach that point where, the nagging injuries are catching up and I'm kind of losing my pop, so to speak, in the gym, I don't have that extra edge, that mental edge. I don't have that next gear. I think the best thing to do is to get back to the fun of what you're doing, and I've always said that deloading should be about breaking it down to manageable weight, obviously, but I think you should use that time also to play around a little bit. I think you should work on new skills, not necessarily with heavier weights or with increased intensity or the normal intensity you'd have in a training cycle, but play a little bit. If you want to get better at the Olympic lifts, use that to find some new drills that you can do, find some new positions that you're weak in and start working those positions. For me, since I am a two-sport athlete, right now for me that means taking some of the emphasis for the next few days, really, not long, away from CrossFit as much, and putting that into throwing and putting that into some technical stuff with my throwing. I'm still not quite at the part of the season yet where I'm really ready to just get after it and hit some higher speed, 75% plus speed training throws. I'm still trying to break down small technical things, but for me, that's fun. That's the ability to get out and play and practice my sport. So that kind of stuff I find is good recovery. As long as I'm smart, as long as I don't throw like a moron, as long as I don't, any hobby that I go after, as long as I don't go after it with too high a level of intensity where it's just gonna cost me more in the long run, I feel I'm getting rested. But Highland Games is coming. I rededicated myself this last off season to really go back at it. Last year was kind of a strange year because I had an injured shoulder that I was rehabbing the whole year. So I ended up things got completely thrown off, and I ended up just taking it as kind of a recreational season, just did a few games and just tried to enjoy myself. And honestly, that worked. It kind of rekindled my desire to want to do it and get good at it. That being said, there's one thing I'm doing different this year. Pretty much since the first season I ever threw, I've been throwing in the amateur A class. The amateur A class is basically when you go to a games and they're trying to split out people based on ability level, distances, experience, whatever, just to make things flow smoother. Obviously there's a pro class, which Matt Vincent, co-owner of HVIII Brand Goods, he's a professional Highland Games athlete, one of the best there is, 2-time world champion. You can see all the stuff below and where to find him. I'm sure if you're following me though, you're following Matt. But there's the pro level, and then just below that is the amateur A level. So then beyond that, they break it down to amateur B, C, and then they have novice classes, women's masters, things like that. If you're doing strength sports, you're used to a lot of these classes. You have the opportunity early on to choose to stay in the lower classes. I didn't do that. I wanted to be around higher competition. I wanted to be around people that made me better, and it certainly did work. The one big drawback is the biggest I've ever thrown in the amateur A class is at 225 pounds, and that was, I think, in 2013. And that's still giving up usually 60 pounds to most of the guys that are at the top of the game. So that's just a huge disadvantage. Now, a lot of those guys at the top, they're also fantastic athletes, and they're good throwers, and they're technicians. They're really good at what they do. It's not just because they're bigger. That's not where they throw farther. That was a lot of fun for me for a long time. That presented an extra layer of enjoyment to it, that sometimes I could show up and I could beat guys that weighed 300 pounds, that were, strongmen that transitioned over and wanted to try Highland Games, that, little skinny me can beat those guys. And that's fun. I enjoy that. But there is a limit on it because that top tier of guys, they're all big and they move fast and they throw well. So what I have decided to do this year is I will be competing in the lightweight under 200 pounds and under class. This is a class that is probably about 10, 12 years old. It started really as a developmental class, but as the sport is growing and more people of more different body types and ability levels are getting attracted to it, you're finding that you have a lot of really, really good athletes at 200 pounds and under. I mean, just top-notch guys. They're just not big guys. Now, it's not like a difficult choice where it's like, oh no, I got to cut a bunch of weight. Right now, I'm like 204. And a lot of that's a byproduct of me having done CrossFit for the last year and really trying to emphasize for the past few months getting very good at it. Having a little lower body weight. When I started, I was about 220, 225, and that made things a little more difficult for me because it certainly wasn't the most solid 220 when I showed up. But trimming down has made things like the gymnastic movements a lot easier. It's certainly made my mobility better. It's made me faster. So those things are good. So it's not a challenge for me to get down to 200 pounds. It's really, it's skipping breakfast, to be perfectly honest. So it's kind of where I feel like I belong a little bit more. And I feel like I'll be able to, in that class of guys, I'll be able to more clearly demonstrate my experience level, my throwing technique, and I'm gonna have some damn good competition there, plain and simple. I'm really looking forward to it. The first games I'm planning to throw in are February 20th at North Texas Kickoff Games. It's one that the Texas Celtic Athletic Association does here in Texas. We're gonna see how it goes this year. I think I'm gonna have a ton of fun doing it. I think it's gonna reignite my love for the sport after having a strange year last year. So here's hoping.
A sleeping baby in her